What is up, gang? What is going on? What are you guys up to? Welcome to Habs After Dark. Habs after very after dark. Montreal Canadiens break their 5-game losing streak with a 4-3 victory over the San Jose Sharks. Bit of a disappointing game, frankly, for me. I didn't think they played all that well. But again, a win is a win. And it's not how you win, it's that you win. And a win is a win. And I just don't think that they played all that well. I don't think that they indicated showed any signs that they are out of their funk, that they are, the things that they were doing badly, that put them in a 5-game losing streak, they were still doing tonight. They just were playing against a really terrible opponent. They managed to win anyway. Yes, RDP, a dedicated subscriber, 3 a.m., 2:22 a.m. here in Nova Scotia. Anonymous, you didn't expect to see me on this late. Well, here I am. I don't know how long the show will be. I will keep it short, especially if nobody is around. It says that we have 3 people watching right now. I assume that's RDP and Anonymous and maybe somebody else. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you're watching in a replay, which hopefully many of you will do tomorrow, then also subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up as well. Again, hey, there's Susie Q. Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow will be improvement. I just find that right now they're struggling mightily with their systems. I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't, I wouldn't imagine that they've made any changes to their systems. But where they looked really smooth and good for quite some time, for about a 2 or 3 week period in early January, late December, they now look like they're completely confused and out of it. And I don't know what that's all about. I don't know why. They don't seem to be as efficient in their own end. They don't seem to be as efficient in the neutral zone. They're not creating turnovers. They're not killing plays. They're just not. There's a lot more standing around. There's a lot more, hesitation where they're, trying to see where they're meant to be, and they're not getting there. And I'm not sure why that's happening. I'm just not sure why it's happening. But welcome, Susie Q. Susie Q follows on Blue Sky and indicated that she was going to come by tonight, and I appreciate it, Susie Q. We need some female content on here. We don't get very many women on here, and so I really appreciate that you are here, and look forward to your input. And hopefully, you will subscribe and you will join us for other shows as well. No, thank you for coming. It's going to be pretty slow here tonight, Susie Q. Just by virtue of the lateness of the hour, but we're going to do the best we can. It'll be a shorter show than usual. But we'll talk about the game. If you have any questions, feel free to fire away. And like I said, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. And if you're really inclined, you enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up. But yeah, no, their structure looks like it still is struggling. Where they were being successful, over that 2 or 3 week period, they were killing plays in the neutral zone. They were creating turnovers with their forecheck. They were killing plays in the defensive zone. They were doing all of those things, and for whatever reason, they just don't have that anymore. And I'm not really sure why they don't have it anymore. I'm impressed as well, Intertap. I'm not sure why they don't have it anymore. I don't believe they've made any changes to their systems. Obviously, there's, as Susie Q points out, the injuries kind of killed their momentum a little bit. But again, I wouldn't expect the injuries to impact their ability to play within their systems. I would expect it to, execution to perhaps be an issue where you've got some new players in the lineup and you've got some guys playing with different people, but I wouldn't have expected their systems to look as bad. They're all working on the same systems. They've all been practicing in the same systems, and it just looks like confusion out there a little bit, whereas it looked really smooth and efficient for some time. Yes, Intertap, welcome. Anonymous, did Line A play well? No, he didn't. He didn't. And I want to talk about Line because there is a real narrative going around that really bothers me, frankly, from a lot of people in the media and from a lot of fans as well. This idea that Patrick Line is a lazy person really pisses me off. People that are calling him lazy really, really upsets me because it's just not factual, right? And has he appeared lazy in the past? Yes. But what we now know and what we all know is the truth is that he has mental health issues. He suffers from anxiety, depression, and other things. He really, deals with these problems, and to equate those issues with laziness is, I think it's ignorant and it's unfortunate. Everybody likes to talk a big game about mental health, right? Everybody wants to repost and retweet and do whatever on Bell Let's Talk Day. But when it comes down to it, when you have a real life scenario in front of you about mental health, you're going to suggest that a kid, really, 26 years old, a kid, um, who struggles with anxiety, depression, and other things, you're going to suggest that he's a lazy person, that he's somehow a flawed individual that doesn't have the guts and the gumption and the wherewithal to work hard because he deals with these problems. That I have a big problem with. Is he producing? Is he playing well? Absolutely not. And if he doesn't, then I have no problem with him not being on this team. But the suggestion that he's lazy and that somehow he's going out there and he's not putting in his best effort really, really, really upsets me. And there's a lot of people that are making that conversation, led by former Canadian Gilbert Delorme, who, frankly, if anybody's throwing stones at anybody, I mean, Gilbert Delorme, an absolute first round flop for the Montreal Canadiens, a guy who was drafted in the first round by the Canadiens, who ended up with under 125 career points, did absolutely nothing in his career. And he's going on the radio talking about how Patrick Line is a lazy player. He's always been a lazy player, and that he doesn't care about the team, and so on and so forth. And frankly, that's embarrassing as a former player to say something like that. I think you're a disgrace, Gilbert Delorme. I think that's embarrassing. You shouldn't be on the radio. I mean, again, it's a demonstration that if you played on the Montreal Canadiens, they'll give you a microphone and they'll let you talk. But again, it's embarrassing that somebody like that would go on the air and say something like that. And the people who are repeating it, it's also embarrassing. And I have a real problem with it. I have a real problem with it. Because this is exactly what people, the haters, the people in other markets said was going to happen with Patrick Line. They said that he was going to come to Montreal. They said that the fan base was going to turn on him and the fan base was going to treat him badly and he was going to return to, the similar situation that he had in Columbus and in Winnipeg. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening right now. And I had really, perhaps naively, thought and hoped that the Canadian fan base would be different and that they would give him the benefit of the doubt and sort of the earnestness with which he came to Montreal and talked about his problems and talked about how he was excited to play hockey again and in fact played quite well for quite a period of time when he first came back to the lineup, all of this stuff. But again, 3 or 4 bad games and the entire fan base, I shouldn't say the entire fan base, a significant portion of the fan base is turning against him. And frankly, I think it's pathetic. I think it's a joke. I think it's terrible. And again, don't talk to me about mental health at all. Like again, you can sit there and you can retweet and you can repost on Bell, Let's Talk Day, and you can talk a big game about mental health and about depression and anxiety and all these things. But don't talk to me about that bullshit if you're not gonna walk the walk. It's a disgrace, and again. I'm not surprised. Montreal Canadiens fans have a tendency to be like this, but it's really really a disgrace to me, and I'm embarrassed in a way to be a part of this fan base when I hear people talk that way about Patrick Line. Again, if you want to complain about his production, if you want to complain and say that maybe he's not right for the team, And again, if he doesn't produce and he can't play the role that is meant for him to be on the team, then when his contract expires, then I've got no issue with him not staying on the team. But don't say it's because he's lazy. Don't say it's because he's lazy, because that's ignorant, it's unfair, and it's inaccurate. Anyway, let's get back to the comments. Entertap, defensive structure was a bit better, but still had holes. Yeah, it was a little bit better, but again, I'm not sure what the competition was really like. Entertap tonight, they were outplayed by a team that they had no business being outplayed by. That's not a good team on the other side. They obviously have some good young players, but that wasn't a good team tonight. And for them to get outshot 29-20, to get outchanced, San Jose had more shot attempts. Every category, they were the better team, other than on the scoreboard. So, yeah, I wish him success as well, Susie Q. Susie Q says, couldn't agree more. I really like that he's open about his struggles. Montreal is a great place for Patty, wishing him success. Well, I had hoped that Montreal would be a good place for him, Susie Q. And I thought and I hoped that, that the Montreal fans would take him in and treat him in a certain way, but unfortunately, that's right now not proving to be the case, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed by it. Entertap, agreed, Devin. Not laziness with Line A, but if his mental health is in question, then he should not be playing. It is absolutely critical that he gets help first. Hockey is secondary. That's not how mental health works, Entertap. That's not how it works, right? You don't shut down. Like again, I don't see that his mental health is at such a stage where he has to shut things down right now. But what I'm saying is that, his lack of production, and his, he needs to be treated in a different way than some people do, right? He needs to be treated differently, right? Mental health doesn't work that way. Just because, again, I don't see that he's struggling that mightily on the ice. Again, it's been 3 or 4 games where he hasn't played well. Right now, I think that the added attention that's being given to him by both the coaching staff and then sort of in the media and by the fan base isn't helping him at all, right? He spoke very openly in his press conference. I think it was either yesterday or today about having no confidence, right? His confidence is shot, and that's something that he's always struggled with. Is that he has. He struggles with confidence, and he doesn't have any right now. And that's not a winning recipe for any player. But again, just because you have mental health issues, doesn't mean that you have to, take yourself out of the lineup and remove yourself from hockey, right? He did that last year when it got bad enough, but I don't think it's at that point right now. But the point is that don't call it laziness. Don't call it laziness, because it's not, right? And so there's a scenario where his mental health could be in a way, he needs to be treated in a certain way, and again, you might suggest that players shouldn't get special treatment, and that's fine. But again, if you want to take advantage of the talent of a player like that, you need to treat him in a certain way. You can't just treat him like everybody else. You can't just and I mean, I'm sure that the Canadiens are communicating with him, and I'm sure that there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But again, this suggestion that he's a lazy player and that he's not trying or whatever, I think is very, very Tony Marinaro, another one, right? Is what did he say? Tony Marinaro suggesting that he's always been a lazy player and that he'll always be a lazy player. Thoughts on Jack-Eye other than the penalty? I liked his game tonight. Yeah, I did too. I think Jack-Eye's become a really, really solid defenseman in the NHL. I mean, I don't think you could ask for much more from a third-pairing defenseman. In fact, I think he plays above that level at times. He's pretty steady. I think he's learned that he doesn't have to go chasing the game. He can allow the game to come to him, and that he can do the things that he wants to do by letting the game come to him. He doesn't have to go out there looking for hits, looking for fights, looking for all that stuff. He just needs to be steady and keep it simple, right? He doesn't have to make the big fancy pass. He doesn't have to always be looking for his shot. He can just play it cool, and I think he's really doing well. We miss Gouli, and it shows. Yeah, of course. I mean, Gouli is arguably the best defensive defenseman on the team. And, obviously you're going to miss a guy like that. I think they were only outplayed by their first line, which is extremely talented. In my opinion, Montreal did not get outplayed, especially if you consider the 3 or 4 posts they hit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. But again, I think, even at best case scenario, it was really pretty close. And it shouldn't have been. That was, again, that's 2 nights in a row where they played teams that they should have absolutely dominated, and they didn't. So I don't think it was as bad a game as last night, or sorry, Sunday night against Anaheim. When did they play Anaheim? Sunday night, whatever it was. Um, it was unfortunate. It just they played badly the other night, and I thought they played a little bit better tonight. But again, I don't think I saw anything from them today that would indicate to me that they're out of their funk. I still think they struggled quite a bit. Um, I don't know. Maybe you're right, Entertap. Maybe I'm making a little bit more out of it as far as them being outplayed. I just feel like the shots were in San Jose's favor. The Corsi, the Fenwick, the high danger scoring chances, everything was in, and the expected goals were all in San Jose's favor. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over to YouTube. The instructions are on the screen behind me. Come on over to Recliner Sports 4 on YouTube. Join our show. We're on Habs After Dark. We're not going to do a long show tonight, so I'm going to get right to the scoreboard, if you don't mind. So again, we see the score 4-3 in favor of the Canadiens. The shots on goal were 29-20 for San Jose. The Corsi was 68-63. That's basically shot attempts. The Fenwick was 45-40 in favor of the Sharks. That is basically shot attempts minus blocked shots. High danger scoring chances 17-13 in favor of the Sharks. And unfortunately, the expected goals were not available from Natural Stat Trick at the end of the game. So I wasn't able to bring those up for you guys just because they didn't have them posted in time for me to go on the air here. Canadians go down 1-0 in the first period. Celebrini from Toffoli and Eklund, a really nice three-way passing play on the power play. The Canadians didn't have a great first period, especially the first 10 minutes or so, and that 1-0 deficit was not ideal going into the second period. They do play better in the second period, probably their best period of the game. Caulfield scores early in that second period on the power play from Suzuki and Hudson. Really encouraging, right? Caulfield scores from that bumper position. And I think that the Canadiens' power play, if it's going to get better, they're going to need to have a threat from that bumper position. A threat that, is in addition to the threat of Patrick Laine on the left flank. They're going to need somebody in that bumper position, and I think Caulfield is the prime candidate to play that role. And he did it really well today. Suzuki was able to find him. He was able to find an open, a little bit of open space, and Suzuki was able to get to the puck to him, and he was able to get the shot away quickly and to beat Georgiev in nets. Again, that Braden Point kind of goal, right? And it looked encouraging because if they can continue to do that, then I think it will improve their power play. It will, add another element to their power play, and it will create another thing that the other team, the defense, the penalty kill for the opposing team, will have to be aware of. The Canadiens then scored another goal at 4:53. Alex Newhook. A really nice play by Kirby Dach, a nice shift by Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach gets the puck. He tries a bit of a wraparound. He kind of feeds the puck into Georgiev's legs, and it kind of creates a mass confusion in the San Jose crease. The puck doesn't go in the net. It kind of gets spit out a little bit to Alex Newhook, and Alex Newhook is smart enough to realize there's confusion with Georgiev and with the San Jose defense, and he just puts the puck at the net. And again, another great play by Dach. I said it was a great shift. He provides a screen, and the puck, he kind of does a little bit of a flamingo, and the puck kind of passes by his left leg and goes into the goal past Georgiev. At that point, the Canadiens are up 2-1. Unfortunately, they did allow San Jose back into the game. Almost about 5 minutes left in the period. Colin Graff gets sent in. It was basically a partial 2-on-1. Graff and Kunin and the defenseman for the Canadiens kind of leaves Graff to take. He takes the pass away, and Graff just buries a shot up high. I think he, as they said on the RDS broadcast, he kind of surprised Montembeault a little bit, and he beat him up high with a really, really nice shot. Colin Graff is a good hockey player, guys. He's signed as a free agent out of Quinnipiac last year. I was surprised to hear that he had only just been called up to the Sharks in the last week or so. He's a good hockey player and a great pickup for them last year. So, anyways, that's 2-2 after 2. And we head to the third period. The Canadiens are on a 4-minute power play after after Lane Hudson took a high stick in the face. They don't look great on that power play. In fact, they look pretty bad. But they do manage to score. The second power play unit scores late in the second of those two. It's a double minor, and they score late in the second of those two power plays. Gallagher from Doc and Newhook. A really nice pass by Doc. Across the crease to Gallagher, who's in his usual spot in the slot, and Gallagher makes no mistake. He redirects the puck past Georgiev. But again, the Canadiens do allow San Jose back into the game. Toffoli from Celebrini and Wallman. Again, that's the combination. Toffoli, Celebrini, Wallman, and Eklund looked really, really strong tonight for San Jose. It's another power play goal. Not sure how, but Tyler Toffoli manages to sneak behind the Canadiens' defense, and Macklin Celebrini finds him, hits him with a perfect pass. Toffoli goes in all alone, one-on-one with Sam Montembeault, and puts a nice move on Montembeault and beats him wide and scores on the deke. And then the game winner from Yoel Armia at 15:56, so a little over 4 minutes left in the game. Yoel Armia scores shorthanded. He and Evans go in on a 2-on-1. Evans with a nice, it was a partial 2-on-1. It wasn't a full 2-on-1 really, I guess. But Evans makes a really nice cross-ice pass to him as they're going in on the net backdoor. And Armia is able to bury it past Georgiev, and that's all she wrote. So that's it for the scoreboard, guys. Again, you can look at the stats there if you like. But yeah, a 4-3 win. Again, not a convincing win from my point of view. The stats seem to be tilted in favor of San Jose. Again, another low shot performance for Montreal with just 20 on goal. Again, I think as Entertap pointed out, they did hit 4 posts, I guess, which indicates that they did have some scoring chances. But again, I think that there's a lot to improve yet with this team, and I wouldn't go as far as to say that this was a resounding departure from their 5-game losing streak. So, anonymous, St. Louis hit 100 wins tonight, 14th head coach in Habs history. Okay, yeah, that's it was his 5th try. But yeah, no, I think Marty St. Louis is a great hockey coach, and I'm really happy with him. And it's nice to see him hit those milestones. But I think there's hopefully a lot more to see from him coming up. Tony B, is it me or are the Habs really poor passers of the puck? Yeah, I wouldn't say they are poor passers. I don't think they looked that great in that department tonight, Tony B. But again, I think that they're struggling. They're struggling with creating turnovers in their own end and killing plays, which means that the passes that they're having to make are a little bit more difficult, right? If you're creating turnovers in the neutral zone and in your own end, you're getting transition plays, and it's much easier to make those passes. Whereas, if you're making passes under pressure out of your own end, more of a breakout scenario, then I think those passes tend to look a little less accurate and aren't always on the tape, in the same way. That's what's so frustrating. During the win streak, they could actually pass. Now it looks like they did early in the season. Well, yeah. So again, I think the big issue with them right now is that they're not playing the same game in their own end or in the neutral zone, right? When they were playing well, when they were playing their best, they were killing plays, they were creating turnovers, so they were getting the puck and then making that quick pass to the open man to create that transition play. Again, so those passes are a lot easier to make because you have time to make them. You have time and space to make them, and your teammate is in the open, right? He's not sort of got two guys on top of him. So the passes are a lot easier to make when you're doing those things, right? When you're forechecking, when you're doing all that stuff, the passes are going to look cleaner. They're going to look crisper, right? And when you're struggling with that, you're forcing yourself to make more difficult plays and difficult passes, and oftentimes those passes aren't going to connect in the same way. We need to see Evans get top 6 minute. He's fourth leading scorer for forwards and is good defensively as well. I disagree, Anonymous. I disagree completely. Jake Evans is fine where he is. The reason he's as good as he is because he's a fourth liner. I don't think you move him up the lineup. You leave him where he is. I think he's in the perfect situation, both for now and for down the road. Again, I think that's a huge mistake that a lot of people try to make, is that, you see a guy in the, lower in the lineup who does really, really well, and then you think that means he's automatically going to move up the lineup. Evans is perfectly suited as a fourth liner. He's not made to be a top six guy. I don't see him there. I don't think he'll do as well there. And again, you talk about him being, I don't think he's the fourth leading scorer on the team, quite frankly. I think that's not correct. Caulfield would have more points than him. Suzuki would have more points than him. Laine might have more points than him. I could be wrong, but in any event, I don't see Jake Evans filling that role. I don't see him moving up there. Certainly, Lane Hudson would have more points than Jake Evans as well. So, A team: Beck, Armia, Gallagher, and Newhook. Beck, Armia, Gallagher, Newhook. I think you might have got it. Oh, you're close. You're close. There you go. Gallagher, Newhook, Beck, and Doc. So I have Doc over Armia. Armia scored the game-winning goal, but again, I thought Doc looked really good tonight. I'm sure that some of you will disagree with me on that, but I thought he looked good tonight. Gallagher was great. He was all over the place. Lots of opportunities to score. I thought Josh Anderson had a really good sort of first 15 minutes or so of the game, and I considered putting him in there. But again, I thought he fell off a little bit in the second half of the game, so I didn't include him on my team. Beck, I thought, looked great. Doc looked great. Thank you for the thumbs up, guys. Keep them coming. If you're here in the live and you're enjoying the content, if you like the show, hit that thumbs up button. Beck looked NHL ready tonight, says Tony B. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Owen Beck. I don't think they want to keep him up. I think they want to send him back to Laval. I think they want him to be in Laval. I think they want him to experience a playoff run with Laval. I think they want him to be there for that. So, as much as he looked NHL ready tonight, I don't know that that's going to be a scenario where he, basically sticks with the team going forward. I think he will return to Laval. And frankly, I don't have a problem with that. I think it probably is the best move for him. And I think the only reason he really was in the lineup tonight was because he just happened to be in California in any event because of the All-Star game. The American League All-Star game was in California last night. He rarely plays top six. Don't doubt him until you see it. And you can fact check me on that one if you want. That's fine. Again, it's not a matter of. I mean, it's just he's not a top six player in the NHL. It's just. I mean, factually, it's just. I mean, you point out that he's really good defensively. That's one of the reasons why he's a bottom six forward in the NHL. And one of the reasons why he's as good as he is because he overperforms in that role, right? He overproduces, right? If he's playing in the top six, he's not overproducing, right? If you've got 10 goals and you're on the second line, you're an average or below average second liner, right? If you've got 10 goals and you're on the fourth line, you're doing really, really good. Same with Emil Heineman, right? So those two guys together, again, he's not suited for top line play. He's just not. Certainly not in the future, and not even now. For a smaller guy, Beck was running over guys tonight. Love it. How big is Owen Beck? I don't know how small he is. I think he's 6 foot, 6'1". But he's a really strong kid, and he's got some grit to him, and he's always kind of played bigger than his actual size. So, he physical, not afraid. Gets dirty, is willing to take contact in order to make a play. Good battling on the boards. I think he has a really good chance to be a mainstay on the bottom six for the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, again, if you had a fourth line of Beck, Evans, and Heineman, I think your fourth line is pretty solid for a long time to come. If they sign Evans and so on and so forth. 6 feet tall, Intertep. Okay, I agree with regard to Beck. Laval will be a useful experience, especially with playoffs coming up for them. At least they know what they have for next year, allowing you to address other issues. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of that. Yeah, I mean, I think that Owen Beck will be given every opportunity to make this team next year. But for now, I think that the reason why we're seeing sort of these weird call-ups is because the Canadiens management does see value in leaving these kids in Laval to give them some consistency, to give them the opportunity to play for that team that's doing really, really well, to experience winning, to experience, a playoff run to the playoffs and then a playoff run in the playoffs when the time comes. And I think that's an experience that the management wants them to have, and it's an experience I think that will serve them all well when they move on with their careers. Doc's got 10 goals and Anderson's got 10. They both play on the second line. No, yes, but they're both struggling. Well, Anderson doesn't play on the second line. He did tonight for the first time this year. But Doc is struggling with 10 goals. So the point yes, could you put him on the second line this year based on his production alone? Yeah, you could. And he would have more production than some of the guys who are on the second line. But again, Doc has 10 goals and he struggled mightily. He didn't have a good first 30, 35 games of the season, right? Jake Evans has played the best hockey of his career and has those numbers. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean, Anonymous. So Beck, Evans having those numbers as a fourth liner is a real boost, but having those numbers as a second liner is a disappointment. Just like Doc's 10 goals is a bit of a disappointment, right? So having 10 goals from Kirby Dach, we don't look at that and say, oh man, what a solid second liner, right? We have lots of fans who are talking about Kirby Dach doesn't have what it takes to be a second liner because they're looking at his production. Beck responded well to playing with Galley. Yeah, absolutely. Again, he's responded well in general tonight, and a guy like Beck, I think, is a real interesting player because I think he can adapt to a lot of different scenarios. Do I think Mailloux will play in the NHL again this year? Highly unlikely, Anonymous. Much for the same reasons I just described about Owen Beck. Is that I think that the Canadiens see value in leaving him in Laval to be a part of that team as they continue to be, one of the better teams in the American Hockey League, and to be a team that, will probably go into the playoffs as a contender to win the Calder Cup. And so I think that they'll likely leave him there. I also think that Mailloux is working on things down in Laval. I think there's certain aspects of his game that the Canadiens want him to improve and get better at, which is why, it may look like he's struggling a little bit down there right now. But again, I think those are things that he might be working on, or there may be things that he's working on that are kind of, slowing down his production a little bit. Thank you, Tony B. Tony B says, I really enjoy your post-game show. I will continue to be a regular, but it's bedtime here in Vermont. Keep going on. Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you tuning in from Vermont. I used to spend a lot of time in Vermont. I don't know if we talked about that already previously, but I grew up in Montreal, and I love it down in Vermont. It's beautiful. Burlington, great little town. I used to go down there all the time, watch baseball. Vermont Mariners used to play. I used to go to watch Catamount games at the university as well. So, I appreciate you, Tony B. Have a good sleep, and we'll hopefully see you on the next show. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you in the next one. So that's going to be just about it, guys. We'll do the report card here. I think I might have been a little bit harsh with the report card, but it is what it is. They did allow 3 or fewer goals tonight with the 4-3 final. They did score 3 or more goals, so they get check marks on both of those. However, I have given them a failing grade for special teams. I didn't feel like their special teams. I mean, obviously they had a couple power play goals, but their penalty kill was not great. And, despite the fact that they did have a couple goals, I didn't really feel like their power play looked really that great. Actions that helped the other team, they certainly didn't do much to help themselves. I thought there were a lot of aspects of their game tonight that made it easier for San Jose. Did they deal with adversity okay? I don't think they really faced a ton of adversity tonight. Weathering the storm, FU factor, I didn't think they played a full 60 minutes. I think they looked terrible in the first 10 minutes of the game in particular. They didn't seem to have a lot of FU factor there tonight. They weren't very physical. Again, maybe I'm being a little harsh on them tonight. I just wasn't that impressed with the game tonight. And, Intertap is kind of pointing out to me that maybe I'm being a little bit too hard on them. But thanks, Susie Q. I really appreciate you coming by. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one. And, it's always nice to get new subscribers, and I'm happy that you enjoyed the show. Distribution of time of ice for D-Man was fairly balanced. The only surprise was how much more Matheson played over Hudson. Perhaps they are starting to gauge his fatigue. Well, I think that might have had something to do with all the penalty kills, Intertap. There were, 5 or 6 penalties to kill tonight. And, of course, Matheson is going to be out there in those scenarios, whereas Lane Hudson won't. Unfortunately, the NHL website is down right now. Can I see it from here? Is this going to tell me Canadiens on ice, time on ice? So we had tonight 24-28 from Matheson and 19-42 from Hudson. So I'm going to say that probably had a lot to do with the penalty killing. Would be the main difference there. So in any event, I think that's going to be just about it for tonight, guys. It is 3 a.m. here in Halifax. I did want to go live tonight. I didn't want to skip the show altogether. I did want to do something here tonight for you guys. I do appreciate those of you that came by. I really want to see Pizzetta stay in the NHL when healthy. Yeah, again, I think Pizzetta has been hurt by the fact that he, that he spent such a long period of time, in the press box, right? He went, over 2 months without playing a single game. And that's going to put, anybody in a tough spot, right? You're not just going to walk into the lineup and play up to your, your best capabilities when you do that. And I think it's been unfair to Pizzetta in a way. I don't know what the other options really would be. The whole, I'm sure that there's really great things that result from the waiver system in the NHL. I think that the waiver wire is, it obviously helps players, and when you get a certain amount of seniority in the league, the fact that you can't be sent down to the minor leagues without waivers is a great thing, I'm sure. But it really does hurt some players as well, because it means that a guy like Pizzetta, rather than be able to send him down to the minors and let him stay fresh and play down in the minors, and then get called up, he had to stay at the NHL level and sit in the press box the entire time, right? So without waivers, he could have gone up and down, right? And the Canadiens having their farm team, in Laval, having their farm team close by, they can do that. They can move guys up and down, and that's what we're kind of seeing when they're on the road. They bring Pizzetta along, and then when they're at home, they can shuttle Raphael Harvey Pinard. They can bring up Owen Beck. They can bring up Jared Davidson. They could bring up Lucas Condata. They can do all of that stuff because those guys are not eligible for waivers. So that's pretty much it, and that it's a shame for Pizzetta because I think he's a hard worker, and he does have abilities and he does have skills that are translatable to the NHL level as a fourth liner. He's shown that in the past, but it's just he's been placed in an unfortunate situation, and I think some people will be critical of the way the Canadiens have handled him, but again, I don't know that there were any real options there as far as that's concerned, right? I mean, again, you couldn't send him down to the minors without him clearing waivers, and I think there probably was a decent chance that somebody else, at least previously, maybe not anymore, but earlier in the season, would have been a decent chance that somebody would have picked him up on waivers. So. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. Listen, I appreciate everybody for coming out this late hour. If you are watching the show, please give us a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the notification bell. That way you'll get a notification when we go live. If you're watching in a replay, hopefully some of you will watch in a replay. Those of you who couldn't stay up till 3 a.m. like the rest of us, I understand that. I mean, I get it. It's a school day and not everybody can do that. But if you are watching in a replay, you enjoy the content, also hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up. I don't know who gave us the thumbs down, but thank you very much for that as well. If you do have some, critical comments about the show, things we could do to improve, things we could do to make things better, then certainly I'm all ears. I'm pretty new at this, and so I'm happy to hear your suggestions. I have big shoulders. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I have thick skin. So don't worry about that. But anyways, that's like I said, if you're watching live, if you're watching in a replay, if you're enjoying the show, subscribe, notification bell, thumbs up. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to do this again tomorrow night. It's hard to do back-to-back until 3 a.m. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But hopefully the Canadiens can put a good performance in tomorrow. Tomorrow I think is going to be a tougher competition or tougher slog for them against the LA Kings. A much better team than the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. But we will see. We'll see how that goes. Anonymous, I'm surprised he has 0 points this year. I thought he was doing better. Again, he just hasn't had the opportunities. And when he did get the opportunities, he was kind of, hamstrung a little bit by the fact that he'd been on the bench for as long as he had. So, Thanks so much, Anonymous. You know my name. I don't know yours, but I will continue to call you Anonymous. But yeah, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much. We will see you in the next one. We'll watch the game. I will certainly watch the game tomorrow. Whether I go live for a show afterwards or not will remain to be seen. I'm going to lean towards no right now just because, back-to-back nights at 3 a.m. is pushing it a little bit. But again, I appreciate everybody for coming. EnterTap, Susie Q, Anonymous, all the rest, RDP, Tony B. Who else was in here? Andre had comments. Thank you, Andre. So a lesser turnout than usual tonight. Not lesser, but fewer people. But yeah, thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a great night. We will see you in the next one. Canadiens win 4-3 over the San Jose Sharks. Peace out.